Some public figures are born into visibility, but only a few spend their lives trying to understand what that visibility truly means. This story is not about fame in the traditional sense. It is about responsibility, inheritance, and the quiet pressure of growing up under a name that the world already recognizes. This documentary explores the life, work, and current relevance of Tatiana Schlossberg, a figure whose story sits at the intersection of history, journalism, identity, and modern public discourse. In this film, we will explore where Tatiana Schlossberg comes from, how her background shaped her worldview, and why her name has resurfaced so strongly in public conversations today. We will look closely at her education, her professional choices, and the broader cultural forces that surround her. Most importantly, we will analyze in depth why she is trending right now and what that attention reveals about society itself. From the very beginning, the life of Tatiana Schlossberg was defined by context. She was born into a family deeply connected to global history, politics, and public service. This environment meant that ideas, debates, and responsibility were not abstract concepts, but daily realities. Growing up, she was surrounded by conversations about power, ethics, leadership, and the consequences of decisions made at the highest levels. This background did not automatically place her on a public stage, but it created an awareness that her life would never be completely private. As a child, Tatiana Schlossberg experienced a world shaped by both privilege and expectation. Access to education, culture, and intellectual discussion was balanced by the quiet understanding that her actions would often be viewed through a wider lens. Unlike many who inherit famous family names and choose visibility early, she maintained a relatively low public profile in her formative years. This was not accidental. It reflected a deliberate approach to building an identity grounded in work rather than image. Her education played a critical role in this process. From an early age, Tatiana Schlossberg showed a strong interest in learning, particularly in areas related to communication, history, and social systems. She pursued academic paths that emphasized critical thinking and research rather than performance or celebrity. In classrooms, she was known more for her discipline and curiosity than for any attempt to leverage her background. During her university years, Tatiana Schlossberg gravitated toward journalism and storytelling. This choice was significant. Journalism, at its core, is about observing systems from the outside, asking difficult questions, and translating complex realities for the public. For someone raised close to power, choosing journalism represented a subtle shift away from influence through authority and toward influence through understanding. Her early interests focused on how large forces shape individual lives. Economic inequality, environmental change, and political narratives were not just academic topics for her. They were lived realities she had seen from different perspectives. This dual awareness allowed her to approach reporting with a sense of context that many young journalists take years to develop. The beginning of her career was marked by quiet persistence rather than sudden recognition. Tatiana Schlossberg worked in professional media environments where standards were high and expectations were clear. She built her credibility through research, accuracy, and consistency. There were no shortcuts. In newsrooms, she was evaluated not by her name, but by her work, and this was intentional. As her career progressed, she became increasingly involved in reporting on complex global issues, particularly those related to climate, environment, and social responsibility. These topics required long-term thinking and careful framing, skills that aligned naturally with her background. Her writing style remained measured and analytical, avoiding emotional extremes while still communicating urgency where appropriate. Over time, Tatiana Schlossberg gained recognition not as a public personality, but as a serious professional. Her work reached audiences who valued depth and credibility. This steady rise did not involve viral moments or personal branding campaigns. Instead, it reflected the slow accumulation of trust, both within her industry and among informed readers. However, recognition also brought challenges.
Carrying a well-known family name meant that her work was often scrutinized for bias or assumed access. Critics questioned whether her opportunities were earned or inherited. These questions followed her quietly but persistently. Rather than addressing them publicly, she continued to let her work speak for itself, a choice that reinforced her reputation for professionalism, but also limited her visibility in broader popular culture. This balance began to shift in recent years, particularly as public interest in legacy, privilege, and accountability intensified. Society entered a phase where family background, inherited influence, and generational responsibility became central topics of debate. In this context, Tatiana Schlossberg became increasingly relevant even when she was not actively seeking attention. The most significant factor behind why Tatiana Schlossberg is trending right now lies in this cultural moment. The public is re-evaluating the roles of legacy families in shaping modern narratives. People are asking how the children and grandchildren of historical figures engage with the world today. Do they uphold old systems, challenge them, or redefine their place entirely? Tatiana Schlossberg sits directly within this question. Recent media coverage has highlighted her background alongside her professional work, drawing renewed attention to her identity. Articles, social media discussions, and commentary have connected her reporting and public presence to broader conversations about inherited influence and moral responsibility. This has created a surge in online searches and discussions centered on her name. Another key reason she is trending involves environmental and social reporting gaining renewed urgency. Climate issues, sustainability, and long-term global planning have moved from niche concerns to mainstream priorities. As audiences look for credible voices on these subjects, journalists with experience and context are receiving increased attention. Tatiana Schlossberg represents a blend of professional expertise and historical awareness that resonates strongly in this moment. Additionally, the digital age has changed how public figures are rediscovered. Past work, family connections, and professional choices are now easily searchable and shareable. A single article, mention, or social media thread can trigger widespread interest. In the case of Tatiana Schlossberg, recent discussions about her background, combined with renewed interest in her field of work, created a feedback loop that pushed her into trending status. It is also important to note that the attention she is receiving is not uniformly celebratory or critical.
Public reaction has been mixed, reflecting broader societal tensions. Some view her as an example of someone using privilege responsibly, choosing substance over spectacle. Others question whether true neutrality is possible given her background. This division has fueled further discussion, keeping her name in circulation. Media coverage has largely remained analytical rather than sensational. Most reporting focuses on context, tracing her career and examining how her identity fits into larger narratives. This measured tone has helped sustain interest without reducing her story to controversy alone. At present, Tatiana Schlossberg remains active in her professional sphere, continuing to engage with complex issues that require long-term attention. She has not shifted toward influencer culture or personal branding, even as public curiosity grows. This restraint reinforces the idea that her priorities remain rooted in work rather than visibility. Looking ahead, her future possibilities are closely tied to how public discourse evolves. If society continues to demand accountability, transparency, and thoughtful engagement from those connected to power, figures like Tatiana Schlossberg may play an increasingly important role, not as symbols, but as participants in shaping informed conversation. Her long-term legacy is still being written. It will likely not be defined by dramatic moments or loud statements, but by consistency and contribution. In an era dominated by rapid attention cycles, this approach stands out. It suggests that influence does not always require constant visibility, and that meaningful impact can develop quietly over time.
Ultimately, the story of Tatiana Schlossberg is a reflection of a larger question. How do individuals born into historical weight navigate a world that demands both awareness and independence? Her life and work offer one possible answer, rooted in discipline, professionalism, and thoughtful distance from spectacle. As interest in her continues, the conversation surrounding her will likely say as much about society as it does about her. What people expect, criticize, or admire reveals changing values and unresolved tensions about power, inheritance, and responsibility. This documentary has explored the journey, the work, and the current relevance of Tatiana Schlossberg. If you found this analysis valuable and want more deep cinematic stories that go beyond headlines and trends, subscribe to the channel and stay with us for the next documentary.